such a good introduction. Respected Director Sir, Suresh Satpathy Sir, Dean Research, all my colleagues and students, my research students and UG/PG students who have joined. Good evening to all. And today I'll be trying to say something about, though I don't think I know that much, but still whatever I know, I like to share with all of you. And I'll try to have a discussion with all of you on intervention of use of data analytics in societal applications. And as all of us know, that data analytics is the buzzword these days, and has been interventioned or has been utilized a lot by many of the computing giants and many of the social networking giants who are trying to take advantage of data analytics for their profits and for favorable results. And we all know that still Analytica is facing many charges for helping Trump by analyzing data and all. And also this has already been utilized a lot in all the other sectors. But the one sector which yet is waiting for data analytics, an application of data analytics, and that is our societal applications. And I think that once this data analytics will penetrate, as you can see, that once internet technology has penetrated to our society and through various societal applications, the output which is generated, that today even we are not physically with each other, still we are able to share knowledge with each other. And this is a result of penetration of that communication technology, internet technology, which has taken place. So this new technology, data analytics technology, when it will penetrate into societal applications, it will again generate miraculous outputs like this the internet technology has generated, and we are able to communicate with each other, and we are able to share our knowledge, even though we are geographically apart, and in fact hugely geographically apart, still we are able to do that. So that the intervention of data analytics in societal application is what I am looking forward to, and I want my co-colleagues and my students to look forward to. And try to cite a recent example which will actually help us analyze the power of this data analytics if it would have penetrated in our societal applications. Like today, we are having many protests and all against many of the laws which are made, and still the government as well as the protesting organizations, they are not able to decide whether the mass or the majority of people are in favor of that law or are against that law. And this particular section who is protesting or doing something, whether they are protesting that particular law only, or there are some hidden agendas and all this could have been sorted out if we had this data analytics penetrated in our societal applications, and we would have got a clear picture of who are what chunk of society is actually in favor of these laws which are being protested against, and the chunk of society which is not in favor of that. And then certain modifications would have been done or would have been suggested besides related to these laws and all. So this is what we are looking forward to. My presentation plan includes introduction to data analytics first, which I'll give a very short introduction, because I know most of us are thorough with many of the data analytics techniques. Then I'll try and give an overview of the challenges which we will be facing, for which we require to overcome when we are talking of societal applications of data analytics. then I'll try to give or identify certain objectives which we must achieve when we are talking of intervention of data analytics in societal applications. And as a sample case study, I'll like to introduce my research project, which was approved from ICSR, that is Indian Council of Social Science Research, so that I can give a view or a real life example of what I mean when I'm saying that we want is data analytics to penetrate in the societal applications and to penetrate inside our society and generate the miraculous results as we are having of the internet technology, as we are taking advantage of the penetration of our internet technology. And as we know that each and everything we do, we try and evaluate that, and we try and find out whether whatever application we are going to do or whatever objectives we have set, whether those objectives are met, even lesser also they are met or not. So the model which we have utilized in our project, that is cervical model, I like to tell something about that cervical model, which will be which had helped us to evaluate a little bit about the impact or intervention of this data analytics in the societal application. And then I'll try to suggest that this data analytics is a technology enabler and is a way forward for many of the societal applications. Okay, so to start with, a short introduction to data analytics. Data analytics can be defined as the process flow of following set of activities which we do perform whenever we want to analyze any data. So we start with the discovery of data or identification of data which we require to analyze, because the correct data once identified only will be helping us in the correct analysis. So data discovery is the initial and one of the most important phases, and there are many sub activities which we require to perform in this activity. I'm not going in detail with that. That we'll be discussing in some other presentation. Once we have identified the data which we'll be considering for our analysis, next important thing is to prepare the data, because the data which we have collected may or may not be in the format which our model, based on which we'll be trying to do the analysis, will able to work on. So we require to prepare our data. Once we have prepared our data, we require to plan the model based on which we will be doing the analysis. Once we have planned the model, we require to do the execution of that model, and we require to communicate the results. Now, the results which have been communicated, our job doesn't stop there only. Once the results have been communicated, we require to suggest or operationalize the changes in the organization based on the results which we have communicated. So this is the process flow which we require to follow whenever we are saying that we want to do data analysis for any particular organization. So as we are consisting of societal applications, first of all, I like to jot down or to communicate some of the major challenges which are there when we are going to analyze data in case of societal applications. So the first is the huge velocity with which the data is being generated, the variety of data which is being generated in the societal applications, the volume of data which is being generated, and all these characteristics of the data along with the complexity of the socio-economical factors that are there in our society, in our network of people in which we are living. So this is one of the major challenges. And there is a rapid increase in, or you can say there is a sheer amount of increase in the social data which is being generated. And an example, or you can say a pilot sample of this is our social networking websites. Though these social networking websites do not give a correct or exact estimated outlook of all the data that would be generated in our societal application, but still it gives a clear and a huge picture of what could be generated. So there is a rapid increase in this amount of social data which is generated, and this is a huge issue. Then again, the another major problem is the heterogeneity in the data that is being generated in social sciences. Because as you can see that if we consider just our country only, we are having more than 25 official languages, and then we are having many variations to these official languages only. So even if we consider the text data only, the heterogeneity lies in all these 25 official languages. And then even if we consider, we do not consider all those official languages, even if we consider the languages which is used by the governments also, then also we require to consider a particular or a huge set of languages in which all the documents and all the data is being generated related to the societal applications. So the data heterogeneity is a huge issue in social sciences. Next important issue, which is a major issue in case of societal application, is the big data infrastructure. Because as we know, still the data which is being generated unregistered, data which is being generated is registered. I'll be showing some samples. I'll be showing some examples. When we are collecting the data, we saw how badly the data is being stored and how badly the data is being handled, and that too the data which is actually very important for our society, that also is being generated and is being handled and manipulated because of a non-availability of infrastructure in which the data could be generated, stored, and could be provided for analysis. So that is a huge challenge. The requirements, the arrangements of all this big data infrastructure which we require. Then last is the impact of all the big data analytics which we'll be doing on the human behaviors. As you would all of us know, that there is a huge impact of fake news on human behavior, on the people, on the society which is being exposed to that fake news, or the society or the section of the society which is exposed to that particular wrong analysis. So this is also an important aspect which must be considered whenever the data analysis is being done, that whatever analysis is being generated and operationalized in the societal application will have an impact on the behavior of people in that particular section of the society. Okay, like I mean, if there is a wrong information among the student circle, we have seen that results in a huge range of reactions. So that analysis which we are doing, when it is operationalized in the society, like the bills which we are saying, which we are seeing, which are being protested, are actually the bills which have been formalized after huge amount of analysis of data which was officially collected by government, and then the policies were undertaking after a huge lot of analysis, and still it has got a very raged impact on the human behavior. So that is also an important aspect that must be considered, that what would be the impact of all the data analytics which we are doing on the human behavior, where you are going to operationalize that results which you have generated in the big data analytics. Now, depending on the challenges which we have jotted down, the challenges which we have jotted down are the challenges which are general challenges, but based on the societal sections and specific societal applications, there can be many more specific challenges which require attention more than these general challenges also. So based on the challenges we have identified, or we have jotted down certain objectives of this intervention of data analytics in the societal application. But again, these are the general objectives which we require to achieve whenever we are talking of utilizing data analytics in any of the societal application. But depending on the application and the section of society for which that application has been developed or is being for which the data is being analyzed, results will be operationalizing, there will be specific objectives. There may be specific objectives also. Okay. So the first objective which we require to achieve is that any big data application which is being generated for incorporation in any societal application must include the sociology, the politics, and the economics. All these three things are the things which contribute to the formation of this network of people whom we call as society. So all these three things must be incorporated in the big data application which is being developed as a societal application. There should be the second important objective which we require to justify, or which we require to achieve, is such novel and accurate data collection techniques which are reliable for collection of the social data. As we have already seen, there is huge amount of unreliability in the social data which is being generated by the social networking websites. And when we are talking of the exact societal application, we have to be more careful about. So the data collection techniques which we have to develop and we have to incorporate must be such accurate data collection techniques which help us in reliable collection of social data. Then also we require infrastructures and architectures for this data driven social applications, because all the infrastructures and architectures which we are using in data analytics currently are meant for these corporates and computing giants only. But when we are talking of social applications, the specific infrastructures and specific architectures must be developed. And one important thing is that ethical framework about the privacy of each and every data, because whatever data we are talking about is related to a particular section of society which has got many privacy and security issues. So ethical framework of privacy and informed content of data should be collected. Also, the objective is to develop such an intervention of data analytics and societal application so that all the social theories which are being set, or you can say all the social hypotheses which are being set, could be tested and future behaviors could be predicted. So that is what is predictive modeling of the social behavior could be done. If the proper predictive modeling of the social behavior would have been done in our current problem which our nation is facing, then whatever happened on the Republic Day would not have happened. So that predictive modeling of the social behavior is very necessary. And last is we require cognitive technologies related to big data to be incorporated into the social sciences. When I say that we require cognitive technologies to be incorporated in social sciences, what I mean is that all the big data technologies must incorporate all the parameters or attributes of sociology, politics, and economics, all three of them. So to dig in further, I'll try to tell, or I'll try to share with you the results which we have achieved in one of my projects, which was granted under the IMPRESS scheme at ICSR. And I was a principal investigator, and my co-principal investigator was Dr. S.N. Mishra, sir, who is professor at KSO, that is KIT School of Management in our university only. Okay, so the title of my project was Intervention of Use of Technology. When I say technology, this is majorly data analytics. But for collection of data, we have also incorporated, or we have also suggested the usage of IoT. But majorly when we were collecting data and when we were trying to consolidate the results, we tried to utilize or tried to have an impact of data analytics and tried to identify the intervention of data analytics more. Though there is when we said the intervention of use of technology, we meant for both the technologies, IoT as well as data analytics. IoT was for collection of data and data analytics was for analysis of data. So the project was for usage of this technology to identify what are the loopholes in one of the government-sponsored scheme, which is ICDS, and our case study was Khordha district only. Okay, so first I'd like to give an introduction of ICDS. So this is a scheme which was started in 1975. And this is a scheme which covers more than 40 million children across our country and 80 lakh pregnant women and 20 lakh lactating mothers. Okay. And what are the objectives of this scheme? The objectives is to provide supplementary nutrition program for the children between the age of 0 to 6 years, to provide preschool education to them, to provide initial immunizations to them, to provide health checkups to them, and to provide referral services to the pregnant women and the lactating mothers. Also to provide the education or information about the health and nutrition to these pregnant women and lactating mothers throughout the country. But our case study was Khordha district only. Okay, so now this covering of these children, more than 40 million children, and these many women, both pregnant as well as lactating, is done with the help of Anganwadi centers and Anganwadi workers. Okay, so this ICDS, it provides services with the help of 13.46 lakh Anganwadi centers throughout the country. And we have more than 22 lakh Anganwadi workers throughout the country. Okay, and the contributing organizations which are responsible for providing funds and resources to the scheme are: first is the Ministry of Women and Child Welfare, who is actually the originator of the scheme. Then, since the scheme provides supplementary nutrition to the mothers, as to the pregnant women lactating mother, as well as the children between the age of 0 to 6 years. So the involvement of Food Corporation of India, who is responsible for grain and food item supplies. Also, since we are going for the since the scheme incorporates the primary health care of mothers, new mothers, that is lactating mothers, as well as for the child immunization. So the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has also got a contribution in the scheme related to the primary health facility providing. Okay. And then we have this Ministry of Human Resource and Development involved, as the scheme also, as I had shown, the scheme also requires or aims to provide preschooling to the children from 3 to 6 years. So since that primary education is also provided through these Anganwadi centers only, so Ministry of Human Resource and Development is also involved in this in the is also contributing to this scheme of Government of India, that is ICDS. Okay. Now, when I say that it is being this ICDS program is being catering to so many children throughout the country, then we require to marginalize or to rationalize the funds as well as the benefits that would be given through the scheme. So these are some of facts related to the rationalizing of the benefits which are given to all the beneficiaries of ICDS. Okay, so for the beneficiaries called children, which are from 6 months to 72 months, that is actually from 0 to 6 years, they are provided with 500 calories of benefits, which should definitely include 12 to 15 grams of protein. For severely malnutrition children who may be malnutrition because of premature birth or because of any other circumstances during their birth time or post birth time, so they are kept in a special category and they are provided with certain additional calories along with additional protein content. For pregnant women and lactating mothers also, the rationing is of 600 calories with 18 to 20 grams of protein. Now, to provide all these benefits to the beneficiaries, we required these helping hands or the Anganwadi workers. And when we are including these Anganwadi workers, we require to give them certain financial things also. So for providing services to all the beneficiaries, the Anganwadi workers, they get a specific amount per head of the beneficiary count to which they provide the services. So if a Anganwadi worker provides services or benefits to a children between 6 months to 72 months, she gets ₹6 per head, which was the earlier cost, and now it has been revised to ₹9. Similarly, if they are taking care of some severely malnutrition children, they get ₹9. And if they are taking care of some pregnant women and lactating mother, they get ₹7. Now that has been modified to 12. Okay, so this is just allocation of funds and all. So our objective in ICDS was to lay the foundation of proper psychological, physical, and social development of a child. And we want our children to move from this state to this state. We want our children because they only are the future of our nation. And if they are not kept well off, the next generation would not be a well-off generation, and all the policy making and all the efforts which we are doing towards our nation will not be of any use. So our primary aim through this, the primary aim of Government of India through this ICDS scheme was to lay a foundation for each and every child to get proper psychological, physical, as well as social development. So, and when we say we want to achieve these three things, the first objective is to reduce the instances of mortality, morbidity, malnutrition, as well as dropping out of school. And the same is being done by our founder, sir, when at KISS also. Also, it is the ICDS aims to achieve an effective coordination of implementation as well as making of policies for promotion of these children development programs. And this is why there is a dire requirement of data analysis in this field. So to understand it more, let us understand what are the different stakeholders of this ICDS scheme. So this ICDS scheme is actually run by the central government, run in coordination with the run by central government, but in coordination with the state government and many non-government organizations. And the centers which where physically it is run is called as Anganwadi centers. And these Anganwadi centers have these three type of workers, which are called as, the first one is Child Development Project Officer. Next we have Anganwadi workers, and then we have Anganwadi helpers. So these are the three kind of human resource which is available to these Anganwadi centers. Now, as we discussed that the intended beneficiaries are these three sections of the society: the pregnant women, the children between age of 0 to 6, and the lactating mothers. What are the exact intended benefits which scheme wants to transmit to this section of the society? As I had already discussed earlier, also still I've jotted them down. So for pregnant women, the requirement is for supplementary nutrition, which is required during pregnancy for the proper development of the child. And then along with the required immunization that is required during that whole period. Then regular health checkups, and then referral services along with institutional delivery. Because many a times, many of these women, they are not having access to institutions for delivery. So institutional delivery is also one of the aims or one of the benefits of ICDS to be provided to the pregnant women. For children between age group of 0 to 6. The benefits are the required nutrition, and rationing has been done for that, and immunization. And both these are trying to or aiming to reduce the infant mortality. Also, ICDS aims to provide preschooling, and this preschooling is aiming to provide better mental as well as physical health to students, along with combating the child mortality rate. We are by immunization, we are aiming to reduce the infant mortality. By providing better physical and mental health to the children, we are trying to combat the child mortality rate. For lactating mothers also, similarly, the benefits which are transferred or which are aimed to be transferred by this ICDS scheme include immunization, awareness about the child and mother health care, and awareness about the importance of breastfeeding, as well as development of a confidence and goodwill or better mental health of the mother, so that the child could be provided up with a better mental health. So these are the intended benefits which the scheme of Government of India wants to be transmitted to the children, to the pregnant women and lactating mothers. So the connectivity which is there, and this is this connectivity among these different contributing organizations is what makes the intervention of technology in these government-aided schemes very much important. Okay, because this loopholes in these connectivity are being utilized by people for not letting beneficiaries avail the benefits of all the schemes which are being developed by the Government of India or by any government for incorporation, or for the weaker section of the society, or for the last person in the society. In case of ICDS scheme, the connectivity chart is quite complex, and it requires a proper implementation or intervention of technology, so that all those loopholes which are being taken advantage of could be reduced. So in case of ICDS, the fund allocation is from central government as well as state government, and the funds are provided in 50-50 proportion. And they are these funds through ICDS schemes are provided for each and every district, are accessed to are accessible to the Child Development Program Officer, who in each district has to take care of at least a children population of 800. And if there is a children population of 800, then only a particular Anganwadi is approved for a particular district. So all this connectivity and allocation of funds and accessing of funds is what has a major requirement of analytics to be intervened, or major requirement of any technology to be intervened. And analytics specifically, because these analytics only help us to provide or to generate that feedback, so that the new the new policy, whenever the policy is being revised or whenever the policy is being changed, all the feedback could be consulted and analyzed, and then only the policy could be reformed or could be reanalyzed. This is why the state analytics has got a major role in these social sector. Like we are considering a single scheme. We are talking of a single scheme, and we are having n number of different schemes by both the state governments as well as the central governments, which are being running, and which if are automated, and if are analyzed, and the data which is being collected and which is being stored properly, if could be analyzed, will help a lot to improve the schemes. Okay, so this is the Anganwadi Center, and this we have already discussed. So the Serviquel model which we have considered is a model which was given by Zetmel and Parasuram. And it is a model which compares the quality of service which is being provided. So as we are considering the benefits which the government scheme wants to transmit to the beneficiaries, we treat these benefits as a service, and then we try to analyze whether the quality of service which these or the quality of benefits with these beneficiaries are getting are as per their expectations or not. So what we have done is we have tried to identify their perception about the service which they are getting and their expectation about the service which they are getting. And the difference which is being generated, we have taken that as a service quality. And this service quality, this model for identifying the quality of service is called a SERVQUAL model. What has happened is the SERVQUAL model, already in the SERVQUAL model, we have already got these 5 dimensions which are existing, based on which you can perform the analysis of any organization, service quality of any organization. But when we were using it for our scheme, what we have done is we have added these 3 more dimensions, which are our scheme specific dimensions based on the ICDS scheme itself. So I'll first discuss the existing dimensions, and then I'll discuss the additional dimensions which we have included, which are related to our scheme, ICDS scheme. Okay, so the first dimension is the reliability of the service, which is the ability of service being performed as it was promised, or it is called as accuracy in the service. If there is accuracy in the service, we say that the service is reliable. Assurance is the knowledge of the service provider who is providing the service. Tangibility is the conversion of these services into physical things. Like when I consider ICDS, I say that the benefit which must be transmitted is psychological, mental, and physical well-being of a child. So if a child is is performing good in the studies, has got good marks, is performing good in the physical parameters like height, weight, and all, then we say that the tangible outputs have been achieved by the service. Empathy is the commitment or the nature, or you can say the caring nature, empathetic nature of the service provider to the beneficiaries to whom the service has to be provided. And responsiveness is the willingness of the beneficiary, the willingness of the service provider to provide services to the beneficiaries. And this responsiveness is the key on which all the other dimensions rely. If we are saying that a single Anganwadi worker would be catering to say 100 or 200 number of children and lactating mothers and pregnant women, then this responsiveness will reduce. So this responsiveness is the key for all the other dimensions which we have discussed. And these are the dimensions which are existing dimensions of the SERVQUAL model. And apart from this, we have included 3 more dimensions based on the scheme which we have considered. So the first dimension which we had added is the convenience. And this convenience we have included for the convenience of the beneficiaries in accessing the Anganwadi centers, because many a times what happens that the Anganwadi centers are located at such locations that the beneficiaries are not able to even visit or get access to the centers itself. Leave aside the services, they are not able to access the centers itself. So we have added this convenience. Then we have added the social and economic connect of the service providers or the Anganwadi workers, because this social and economic connect of these Anganwadi workers will be having a huge impact on the services which they are providing. And last, we had included technology enabler, and we had asked beneficiaries that whether they will be happy if the technology is included in the services which are being provided to them. And we have got a very good response. Many of the beneficiaries, they have responded well related to the requirement of technology as an enabler in the scheme, which is yet missing from the scheme. Okay, so what we have done is we have developed a questionnaire based on all these parameters of the cervical model, and then we have asked the beneficiaries to rate them. And this rating we have encoded, if we have asked them to rate between 1 to 5 in case of single or close-ended questions. But apart from this, we also had a set of open-ended questions through which they can generate, or they can give, they can tell what exact problem they are facing if that problem has not been incorporated in our questionnaire, or we have not thought of, or we have not included it in our questionnaire. So a sample question for reliability is we have asked whether the ICDS scheme is reducing the malnutrition among students, among children and the expecting mothers significantly or not. And then we have asked our beneficiaries to give their perception and the expectation which they had, and then we had find out the score by differentiating the two values. So similarly, we have done for assurance, then we have done for technology enabler. And the sampling which we have done is a purposive sampling, as we were doing the objective was to analyze whether the beneficiaries are getting all the benefits or not. So purposefully we have taken that subgroup of beneficiaries only out of the whole population. We have taken the children between the age of 0 to 6, and since they'll not be able to tell you their perception or their expectations, so their mothers have been consulted. So we have taken a subgroup of the population, and taking the subgroup of the population is what purposive sampling means. So this is what we have done in purposive sampling. And what we suggested was Internet of Things as a technology enabler, because collecting data, as I'll go down, in the following slides, I'll be showing how difficult it was to collect data because of the geographical locations where the Anganwadi centers were located, and the geographical locations where the beneficiaries were residing, and that and everything. And Internet of Technologies, or IoT, could be a very good platform if we can collect data, and it would be a good platform for the government of India also, if the collection of data could be automated with the help of Internet of Things. And then data analytics, which we utilized for analyzing all the data which we have collected. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say that manual data collection versus automated data collection. This is what, as you can see, the terrain which our field worker has to visit for getting information from the, or for getting the questionnaires filled from the beneficiaries, because they were residing in such type of geographical locations, as you can see, and the Anganwadi centers were also located in remote villages which were to be visited. So this manual data collection is what requires to be automated. Then this another problem or another challenge which we faced was during the collection of or during surveying of open-ended questions. And the questions which we prepared, many of the beneficiaries were not even understanding the questions, or were not even able to read out the questions. So the Anganwadi workers had to help them understand and read out the questions. And these Anganwadi workers, they were filling up the forms for them. And when an Anganwadi worker is filling up the form for a beneficiary, there are very much chances of being biased. Now, another problem was, like, some of the Anganwadi workers were educated, and so they filled forms in English, and it was easy for us to apply text analytics on that. But many of them were not that much educated, as the basic requirement of being an Anganwadi worker is just 8th class pass only, and many of them were not so well versed in English. So show what happened when we explained them the questions, they have written their answers in Odia language. So that was another issue. to convert it into English, and then to do the analysis on it, the text analysis on it. So this is another challenge with the open-ended question. But we required open-ended question because the questionnaire which we have prepared from our point of view, but there may be many challenges which are being faced by that particular section of society, which we even cannot think of. So we required these open-ended questions. And as I told, the data storage and management is dilapidated in social sector. So as you can see, still the data storage is done in these type of registers, which are sometimes done in English, sometimes done in Odia, sometimes are done so badly that you cannot infer what has been stored or what has been written there. And then the problem not only is with the storage of these files. Now these files or registers are then stored in these type of infrastructures which are open and which are not at all secured for handling of such important data based on which our national schemes require to be revised or national schemes require to be improved. So we require some improved data storage and improved data management in social sector before going to analyze the data in the social sector. So this is the scenario of data collection in the just data storage and data management in the social sector, which is a huge issue. Okay, now since we had many open-ended questions and the answers were given in many formats by the Anganwadi workers and the beneficiaries, so we were compelled to encode it, and we have coded it based on these descriptions, and then we have used these codes to generate the results to find out whether the service quality is good or not. Like we have given 10 if the beneficiary do not have any idea about vaccinations, free vaccinations which is provided by the government of India to them. We have given the code 11 if a single time vaccination has been done in place of say 6 or 7 times of vaccinations that was required for the children. We have given 12 if the food breakfast which are given to the children are prepared by the self-help groups and are good in quality, and so on. This is how we have generated the code. This is just a sample. We have started it from 1 and we have coded it till 50, depending on each and every response which we have received. Our sample data size was for 100 data only, because with that 100 data only, we had many problems to prepare it for analysis. So we have taken that 100 amount of data only, and then that pandemic occurred, and so we were not able to collect more data. So we had to work on the amount of data which was collected. And so this is the encoding which we have done for open-ended questions. What we have done is we have utilized the NLTK platform to find out the negative words and the positive words in the answer, and then we try to find out the difference between them. And the difference was multiplied with the pointer which we have assigned to the questions, and this pointer we have assigned based on the codes which I have shown you, and based on the sample and the pointer we have calculated the final value so that we can plot the service quality for different Anganwadi centers. This KTWQ stands for Khordha Tangi Anganwadi. Similarly, we had 5 different blocks in Khordha for which we have collected the data, and we have coded it like that. And then this is how we have prepared this service quality sheet. And as you can see that the 6th question only, or the 6th question of the questionnaire only, the service which would have been included in this has got the most satisfactory result, and rest all is less than 500 only out of the 100 samples which we have calculated. which we have collected and we have analyzed. So this tells us what is the impact of, or what is the perception of people or the beneficiaries who are intended to be benefited by this scheme. These are some of the references we have used, and thank you. Hope it would be informative, and it would have been informative, and some of you can come forward and help me in more societal applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Manjusa ma'am.